I'm glad you brought that up. Did you think? What about that? What do you think about that thing that in rants and raves that came up 2 days ago? And actually, Ryan Sittler, who's a very dear friend of mine, commented on that on Facebook as him being the best Toronto Maple Leaf in the history of Toronto.
Who, Darryl?
Darryl Sittler, yes.
I think that's a hard one to ascertain because, Frank, most of them judge it by Stanley Cups. Darryl had none. Darryl was a very strong leader, a wonderful, wonderful team player, and scored a lot of points. There can be an argument made as long as Stanley Cups are not a part of it.
Okay, well, somebody posted that Ryan Sittler is a very dear friend of mine. Here it is. It was on rantsports.com, said that Ryan Sittler is the greatest Toronto Maple Leaf of all time. And this is what his son wrote, who is a very dear friend of mine. I had the great privilege of skating with him. He's just, and he's one of my close friends. And I know Darryl very well, and I knew his beautiful wife, Wendy. I believe her name was Wendy, correct?
His late wife, yeah.
Yeah. Before she passed away, we had some dinners and lunches together. This is what Ryan Sittler said about that article. A hardworking, humble, confident, and giving man. And that was not only an amazing hockey player, but an even more amazing father and grandfather. So, good for Ryan, who never got a chance to be what he should have been because of that cheap shot when he played for the Philadelphia Flyers.
Yeah, that was unfortunate.
Yeah, well, they broke his face.
Yeah.
They broke the front panel. I'm saying this in layman's terms, right? The front plate of the face. He thought the fight was over. The ref pulled him apart, and the guy sucker punched him and broke his face.
Yeah, yeah. No, it wasn't
He
very
never fully recovered for that, and then he skated with the Toronto Maple Leafs to try to make it for them, and he didn't. And I'm a big fan of Ryan Sittler, great guy. But so there's a lot of talk that Darryl Sittler was one of the best hockey players. Well, no. That particular blog or is saying he was the best Toronto Maple Leaf ever.
Yeah, that's a difficult call, Frank. You have to throw in Dave Keon. You got to throw in Red Kelly. You got to throw in Matt's son.
Johnny Bauer. I'd say Johnny Bauer is up there too.
Laps, Teeter Kent, all these guys, you see, whenever you, and I don't think it's entirely fair, whenever you evaluate a player in an organization, it's directly related to whether or not they won a Stanley Cup. And
okay, I agree. I kind of agree with you, and that makes logical sense. But I think Darryl Sittler, for his time in Toronto, was definitely the best player.
Well,
I think
that's the other issue is that you're
time
talking
he was in
about errors,
Toronto,
right? You talk about
his first reign when Toronto was extremely mediocre.
Yeah. It's hard, though, because you're talking about, like, different eras, right? Some guy may have excelled in the 30s, the 40s, the 50s. Hockey's different, right? The hockey player now is different than the hockey player 30 years ago. So it's very hard to say who's better based on in what era they played on. And
I would say, Eric, I mean, you're being political. You sound like you're fucking on the Duffy trial right now, right? I think that Darryl Sittler, for the time when he played for Toronto, he was definitely the most prolific player on the team. Even though Lanny McDonald was him.
Boris Salming.
He had.
Boris Salming was
he had. What's the guy's name? He had Ali Afridi, who was positioned to be one of the best.
No, that was later
in the NHL.
Yeah, he had Sittler had McDonald. He had
Salming.
He had
who also was very strong, and also don't forget he had who's the assistant coach in Florida. He played for the Chicago Blackhawks, played for Toronto. What was his name? Oh, fuck.
Are you Gerald Gallant?
No. He's an assistant coach now.
Head coach, assistant coach. I don't know who that would be, Frank.
He played for the Toronto Maple Leafs. Ballard wouldn't pay him, and he left, came back for a bit. I think he played under your regime, too, Billy.
Yeah, no, I don't know. I don't know.
It'll come to me. Well, I'm just saying to you, I think at the time when Darryl Sittler was there, he was definitely the best player. It's very hard to pick him as the best Leaf ever. See, I'm a big fan. I think that Johnny Bauer stood on his head when they won the Stanley Cup. Bobby Bond too, playing with a broken leg and finishing the game.
Yeah, scoring a goal on a broken ankle doesn't happen.
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot, but Darryl Sittler was definitely incredible. It would have been great for him to finish his career as a Leaf, but he had an incredible, turbulent relationship with Harold Ballard, as many Leafs.
Well, it was Punch. That was too bad, but that's the way it is. And I think it's fair to say, Frank, from the era of the '70s, the most valuable player on the Toronto Maple Leafs was Darryl Sittler.